Hey, hey, hey. Oh, you guys are missing.
We gone.
You're there! Happy
Yeah.
Saturday, everybody. How's your day going? Oh, we're not talking about bonus stages today, though. Because I'm all
It's
over
true.
the ball.
And this time, we remembered to update the title, rather than just leaving it on the wrong thing for the entire stream. Because that's never happened before. No,
Absolutely
no
not.
chance.
That would never happen. We are professionals at this. No mistakes were made. How's everybody doing? My Saturday's going well. I woke up a couple hours ago. Had a coffee, had a muffin, had a dab.
Nice. We took the dog out to the dog park, and he ran and rolled and dug in some mud, and I think ate some of it. So he's having a good day too.
Sounds like doggies. Sounds like doggies. So we've got some new emotes. Unfortunately, we've only got 3 slots right now. So that lovey one is a tier 2 by necessity.
Hi.
Because
Necessity
we're out of
only.
emote slots.
We need 10 more points, and then the puppy love one will become tier 1 for everybody, and we'll do a vote on what the third one will be. I'm going to get that vote going. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Hey, board. Should we gush on news for a little bit first before we dive into this?
Sure.
Because there was some
Yeah.
fun news to talk about. And like super fun and like super exciting and yeah. PS5 reveal blew my mind and my pants.
Very excited about the PS5 reveal, especially because it's going to be launching with the FromSoft title.
I've never played Demon's Souls. I bought a PS3 just to play it, but I haven't played it yet. You guys think I should wait for the remaster? I'm thinking I should wait for the remaster.
I mean, like that is an option. I was going to submit Demon's Souls, but if you want to wait for the remaster,
Well, no,
then
no,
that
no,
is
no, no.
that is an option.
No. I mean, if you're going to submit Demon's Souls because you think I should play the original before the remaster comes out, then, you know, I'm trusting the people who have played it. And I'm going to do that shit.
It is still a very good game. It is still a FromSoft game.
Absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
just also super jank because it's like Dark Souls beta.
Yep. But at the same time, I've also been thinking, you know, if I did do it original first and then remaster right when the remaster comes out, fairly close together like that, it could be really fun to review them and compare them from a first play perspective.
Well, and they'll be very much fresh in our minds, which will be good.
Yes, exactly. Get a refresher on all the little things going on. I love that lurk emote.
Yeah, it's so good.
And the boxer came out really well. I'm super happy. That's like
Lurk.
the best Dark Brindle I've seen.
Lurk may be my new favorite GamesByDesign emote.
Excellent.
Is real good.
Excellent. That's based off of Gramps. That's why we got those nice green eyes under the sheet. So those are
He's
our 4
just so
mascots.
cute.
I'll be using those same 4 animals probably going forward. I don't want to do like a million different animals in the emotes. At least not yet. I'm probably going to stick to those 4. Those are 4 of my favorites. And if we want more, build from there. Maybe I can. I definitely have a pool of animals I could pull from. I've owned a couple.
There have been a few.
1 or 2 were 30, if I'm actually starting to count, and that's just the cats and dogs. Something like that. Something like that. But yes, Demon's Souls.
Do we want to do any other talking about the PS5 reveal?
Yeah.
We should probably, to discuss a lot just got dropped. It was very overwhelming.
What's your favorite in it, Pseudo? What's your most anticipated of all that?
I'm not too sure. There is a lot.
There is a lot.
There is a lot. I am a sucker for the Hitman games. I really like those. The Spider-Man, but with Miles, I'm super stoked for. Finally, a new Gran Turismo. That'll be Hopefully,
Yes.
super sick.
I'm hoping for a PC port with the GT.
Fingers crossed.
The new Resident Evil, which I think is coming to PC as well.
Oh yeah, there's no way that's not coming to PC.
But
Yeah,
that in general,
that's the one I was wanting to mention. I'm super stoked for
Super
RE8.
stoked.
Like, they kept RE7 style and feel, and that's my favorite of the whole series. That I was like, oh my god, I'm in this. It was so good. They've kept the character, but then they've brought back so many great looking classic elements. The town from like 4, I think is what one had it, is back. So you're back in like 4, but with 7 character. But Chris Redfield is running around as another character in the story, not you. You're not playing him, which
But he's there.
different thing. But he's there, and he's kind of a callous badass. Like, he just doesn't seem to give a shit anymore. That's fair enough. He's been around from the beginning. He's seen it enough times. If you're infected, you're infected. He knows there's no coming back from that shit. So you're not human anymore. Yes.
I'm trying to find the big gush that we did during the reveal, because there were so many games. Like there was one that was like Monster Hunter plus Pikmin, which is just like really cool.
Yeah,
I think that's Kenna Bridge of Spirits.
Yeah, Kenna looks fantastic.
And there's the new Horizon Forbidden West, which
yes,
looks
I want to
amazing.
play that. Oh, I want to stream that. I'll be getting a PS5 and streaming New Horizon Zero Dawn when it drops. Absolutely. I loved the first one. Pookie loved the first one. I haven't done the first DLC yet. I've got my PS4 all set up at my desk. I can totally dive in and do that too now. Can't wait for the brand new GTA 5 release. Rockstar milking it more than Bethesda is milking Skyrim at this point.
Yeah, that was very strange. Everyone's like, "What's happening to GTA 6?" And Rockstar's just like, "Well, we've milked another $1 billion out of GTA Online, so we'll just keep doing that."
Why aren't you making GTA 6? You guys keep buying GTA 5.
Why would we do anything else? You keep giving us money for the same game. It's almost like we're Bethesda.
Well, I mean, even just from a company standpoint, if I've got a product that keeps selling, and it's not slowing down, why would I invest all this money to making a new product that's going to bump my old product off the market when I can just keep selling it until it stops selling and then sell the new product? You guys really like GTA 5, then keep buying it. If you don't, you want something new, then stop and they'll give you something new. They want your money. If you stop giving them money, they'll find a new way to get it, and that's new games. Keep dumping money in their online casino and you're not going to get a new GTA. Though I was getting real PS2 feels watching that reveal.
Yeah, there was a lot of 3D platformers.
That really caught me. I was like, wow, this is some old school style gaming going on all of a sudden. It's like graphics.
That was pretty neat.
Graphics have become so abundant and easy to do that all of a sudden designers are getting back to the point of, okay, all of our games already look pretty. Shit, we've got to make them fun again.
It's true. Because now that it's no longer such a race for graphics technology, like the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are both going to be insanely powerful machines, like ridiculously powerful. It's just like, okay, well, that's no longer a problem. Like it just doesn't matter. So now we actually have to make the game fun, which is, as it turns out, much harder.
Yes. Yes, it is. And it's always for the better. Us as game players are going to get better quality when they have to compete with each other. Same is true in every industry in the world.
Competition is a good thing. I mean, look at what AMD is doing to Intel these days. Intel got caught with their pants down, and AMD has a really compelling product stack. And if Intel had continued at the same velocity, if they had competition, even what AMD has now wouldn't be enough to put them ahead of Intel. It would not. But because they didn't have any competition, they got lazy. They had the mindset of, well, people keep buying this. Why would we put more money into something else that isn't this?
Yep.
Like that just doesn't make business sense.
I'm hoping to do the same thing to NVIDIA in this fall.
Fingers crossed. RDNA 2 looks really good.
So as a small tech news point that I read and saw about just the other day, on point with what you were just talking about, Intel and AMD. Did you see? Okay, so you heard about Intel hiring the former AMD creative lead?
Which one?
I can't
Raja?
remember his name. No, it wasn't him.
Because they do have Raja, and he sort of tanked RTG.
No. It was a newer
not
one.
high hopes
It
for
was a
their
newer one
not
that
high
they
hopes
had
for their
just
graphics
hired,
department.
like a month or so ago. It was from the chip department, processor from Intel.
Interesting.
They had him for like a month or two, and he resigned. From
That
AMD to Intel. Yeah.
That could mean so many things.
It could. The current theory that I like is that they were probably asking him to reveal information that he wasn't legally allowed to reveal.
Probably.
Which means they need help.
Yep.
It's not a good sign for Intel. Not a good sign for Intel.
But I mean, it's not like Intel is above buying out people who make compilers, so.
Nope. Whoa, you're big. There we go.
And don't forget to zoom in the document.
Oh, I am. All right, we're using the wrong zoom here. We're using the wrong zoom. Bam! There we go. I'm getting better at this. I almost seem like I know what I'm doing. All right.
Almost. We've only been doing this for like, what? 6, 7 months now?
7 months now, yeah.
7 months, according to my founder badge.
Yep. So strange. Oh, hey, there's a new 6-month badge, by the way. So I'll have the new badge up before 9 month, but
yeah, you've got it. You've got the 6-month subscriber badge next to your name.
I do.
Yeah. Because you're the broadcaster, so you don't get a founder's badge.
Yep. And that's fair. That is fair. I've got a comfy ass chair now. I can sit at that table all day.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Open source game design.
Man, so many cool games coming out.
I know.
Just had to say that.
No lack
There's
of
also
content.
some really weird additions to that presentation as well.
Like
which the arcane game, which I am just like not in the least excited for.
Oh no, I was more thinking the one where all the creatures on the island are fruits for you to eat.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That was
Island.
It's like snacks.
That was weird.
That's
a weird game.
Oh,
I mean, so was Octodad though, but
yeah,
Octodad worked, and so we'll see.
I want those drugs. I want whatever those guys were doing when they came up with that, because that's an idea.
I'm also very interested in Pragmata. We didn't get to see too much about it, but I'm very interested in that game.
I've heard a few different people actually excited for the SMTFPS looking game, Ghostwire Tokyo.
I was, and then we saw more gameplay, and then I wasn't.
That doesn't surprise me from you, but I've seen a lot of people say they're excited, and that's the only thing I could think of when I was watching it is this is SMT with an FPS wrapped around it.
Which, I mean, if that's your thing, that's pretty sick.
It does look pretty. Yeah, most of them that I was talking to that were saying they were excited for it were saying basically headless Japanese schoolgirls are my thing. So that's
so there you go.
That one. Okay. That's news. Hey chat, how you guys doing? Haven't heard much from you. Do you remember what open source game design is? Does anybody actually know what it is and is here for it, or are you all just in for the ride as we brainstorm and come up with wacky ideas? Nope. Hey, Crucy. Open source game design is us grabbing ideas from the audience and turning it into a small design package that is within scope for someone to make, and then we give it away. You guys can all use it. So we get to come up with wacky, silly ideas for a small game. 2 hours to design a small game.
Last time we made a dinosaur-themed shmup, which actually sounded really fun. Like I would play that game.
I legit wanted to try it. I mean, it's not going to be a difficult one, but I legit wanted to try it. It sounded cool. The Triceratops shooting his horns idea, that was fucking great.
Yeah.
All right. Ooh, that's a big font.
It's a big boy.
Genre. We need ideas for genre from you guys. Nanu nanulo. Now, let's talk a little bit about genre before we jump into it. Big things. Like we want to keep this simple scope. So strategy RPG, that kind of thing. Probably not a good idea. Gonna get
MMOs.
Yeah, no MMOs.
Kind of out of scope.
little bit much for first timers to handle. RPGs, basic RPGs are doable. I did a console RPG as one of my first games ever. So that's totally a potential within scope. On an actual 3D engine, an FPS is not super difficult to make.
Nope, not the hardest thing in the world.
So many tools are built around it already. That is definitely something that can be done. I built a twin stick shooter over a weekend with UE4. That was not difficult. They come with some great assets as well. You can make a decent looking little game in no time with it. You're still kind of in shock on how you beat Gwyn. Gwyn's not that hard.
And that is intentional.
Yeah.
Gwyn is not supposed to be that hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of story behind it. That's a different panel altogether. You no-hit him. I no-hit him my first time too. Good job, Lo. Sometimes you're just in the zone. I actually got hit once on him because I was laughing and not attacking him and just avoiding all his hits and sitting there rolling, and I looked away to call Pookie over to show her how hilarious this was, and I looked back and got nicked once, and I was like, oh. But I still say I no-hit him. Now try no-hitting Sir Alon in DS2 and make him commit seppuku. Yep.
That is legitimately hard.
Yep.
That is a difficult thing to do.
Just beating Sir Alon is not easy. Although he's playing Dark Souls 2 now, Val, so that's the thing. A fighting game is not something you want to try to make in your first game. Even a simple one.
They need way too much tuning. Way too much tuning.
Even a simple one is not a good idea.
The video died. I can still see Deus. Oh, you mean your video died? I get it.
That sucks. So what do you guys think?
some good genres for small scope games, puzzlers, platformers, combinations thereof. Shooters are good.
Point and clicks.
Nice little scope there. Point and clicks are interesting.
I don't even
make them in PowerPoint.
I don't even really fully consider them a game, but people like them.
I'd say they're a game.
They're interactive.
You can do your walking simulators. Just have people explore an environment, learn about it.
Yep. Now that's basically a simple FPS, typically, because you got that first person view.
Well, it's FPS without the S.
Yeah.
It's just FP.
FPW.
What else is good for a first timer?
Anything like top down 2D is usually easy.
Yeah.
At least.
Runners. 3D runners.
Yes.
2D runners.
Runners are very good for a first time game. And they can be super addicting too.
They can be.
There was the only game I have ever bought on a mobile phone was the Impossible game, which is basically a runner from a side-on perspective, and you just hop this little box over obstacles, and it's just super addicting, super fun.
Yeah, even if you understand all the mechanics going on in the fighting game, trying to put all that into the code in a cohesive way that's going to perform it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. It would not be a good thing to try to tackle your first time. You're going to get frustrated.
And for fighting games, you need 60 FPS locked. You cannot have frame dips ever.
You're going into the AAA realms of fighting games, but yeah, no, they're tough, and anybody that's trying to tackle that is probably thinking a 2-player game, and now you've got a world of issues that you've never dreamed of. You're gonna get in, and it's gonna do something. You're gonna be like, "Why did it do that?" And you'll never figure that out. You're gonna need to grab a professional.
Multiplayer is legit hard.
Yeah.
That being said, cloning something like Double Dragon isn't too complicated, but it's definitely a bit more advanced than kind of cloning a bit of the earlier titles for like the SNES and stuff like that, like making like a Mario clone or like a Zelda clones.
That's not a bad idea. If fighting games are really your thing, not a terrible place to start would be a single player beat 'em up.
It's a good way to learn hitboxes. It's one of the first things I made when I was in high school, was a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up, and it's when I first had to learn how hitboxes work and stuff like that. And it's really not too bad. Like perspective-wise, you don't have to worry. I thought it'd be complicated, but it's just a sprite that moves up and down on the y-axis, and as long as your art asset looks like a road, it'll be fine. You don't have to worry about it actually, accounting for anything. Yeah, they're fun, but it's still like it gets away from you. Like there's, you'll find that you'll want to do combos, and then right then and there, the programming aspect of it gets pretty complicated.
That's why we do these, to set the initial scope and say, stick to this. If you can do this and get this working, you can evolve it from there and start adding to it. But get this working first. That's what this is for. After all these talks and nobody coming up with their own inputs for the idea, I'm kind of really feeling that runner idea.
Yeah, hey, you want to do a runner?
What do you think, Steve?
I don't have anything in mind today.
Yeah, I don't have any pre-notions going into this.
Yeah, you do runner. Yeah, they're very, very straightforward to do as long as the scope is right. So it's a nice. They're usually really good beginner projects.
Yeah, because you don't even have to deal with a lot of movement. Your forward velocity is usually a set value that the player has no control over, and you're just doing side to side and jump for the most part. You want to go play Streets of Rage 4 again now, because they actually make bounce/juggle combos feel great in that. Text-based dungeon crawler.
Well, there's a suggestion from chat. We could do a text-based dungeon crawler.
I'm down.
Yeah, those are fun.
I'm in. That was my first game. In one of my early programming classes, we were working in BlueJ, which is actually fantastic if you're learning how to program, because it makes you do fucking everything for yourself. If you want to write an actual project, not a good idea. Not a good idea.
No.
But we had this basic little thing where it's a set of rooms and you move from room to room. And I was like, hey, I've got a moving around in rooms outline here. And I threw in a basic combat system with enemies and some randomization for attack and damage and stuff. And my class was just like, how did you do that? I don't know. It was like 2 hours of work, guys. It wasn't that hard. We had the base. So yeah, text-based dungeon crawler. Setting?
So how about a setting then, chat? Are we gonna do like stereotypical fantasy dungeon crawler?
That sounds boring. I'm gonna veto fantasy right now. Fantasy is out the window.
It doesn't always have to be an actual dungeon. It can be like a metaphoric dungeon.
Yep, it's just moving
The
around
dungeon
place
of
to
your
place by text.
mind.
Everybody does fantasy. All the time. Sure, we can get something better. An Eldritch vibe, maybe? Sold. You don't have to twist my arm too hard for that one. I love HP. It's got smashed by a boss. That's what bosses do. Which one? You can't just say a boss. There's like 30 of them in that game. Not even
actually, yeah, there is actually like 30 of them in the base game without the DLC.
Dragon Rider. Smo 2.0.
That is a boss. I will tell you some secrets about that boss another time.
I love the no hit on that boss.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, Val knows what we're saying.
don't spoil it, Val.
Okay, that's the setting. What else do we want to need to know about this? Combat?
I mean, I think we know. Combat, I'm envisioning as a very, very simple, like early console RPG sort of style. What the heck was that? There's one NES game in particular that I'm thinking of.
Okay, hold on. The reason I did a text-based dungeon crawler for my first game is because I was into pen and paper. Can we safely assume that whoever's going to choose this one is probably fairly familiar with pen and paper? D20 system.
There's a good chance.
Because the D20 system is actually ridiculously easy to code. Like, ridiculously easy.
Well, and you can abstract quite a bit of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to use every single rule, but like the base, like one random number of 1 to 20 against an armor class with a plus for the hit. That's like the easiest combat code in the world. And it is a nice, simple intro to how combat works. And there will be enough little issues that they'll have to stop and think and work things out and learn as they do it. It was the combat I used personally.
I agree. I think it's an excellent starting point. Like the D20 system is quite well thought out and quite simple. But I was thinking specifically, I still can't remember what the game was called, but it was an RPG on the NES, and Lobos played it recently. But it was like very, very simplistic graphics, and then you get like a splash screen of the enemies, and that's it. And then you just do text-based combat underneath it.
Sounds like one of the Wizardries or Ultimas. They were all like
it was something super early.
All those early CRPGs. That's basically what they were, and most of those did use at that time's D&D system.
Yeah.
Close to dice. I played a lot of choose your adventure books because we had them in that library in elementary school. And even if you don't have, it's kind of cool they did it. Even like if you don't have dice with you, what they let you do is they put little dice, or they put 2 dice in the bottom corner of every page. So to roll, what you could do is just flip to a random page and look, which I thought was like really cool at the time.
Yeah.
Hey,
yes, really? Dragon Warrior. That's what I was thinking of Val. I was thinking Dragon Warrior.
That was a more complex combat system on the decision side than the D20, but the view of it is very, very simple, and I love the simple input. Though displaying the inputs and moving to them can be kind of difficult. I personally did a type your command input style. It's not very playable for other people, but it's easier to code, it's easier to playtest yourself. You're probably not going to distribute your very first little project ever made. And it does, if you abstract properly, it does leave you room to go back later and upgrade that. Oh, I want to now change it to, having the options written out and easier to choose and working on your UI a bit from there. But it could be interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah. So usually, like for like text-based adventure, it was like a predetermined list of choices that you can make. So it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of thing, and then you just expand it from there. Eventually, if you want to go to have like a text interpretation or have commands that are more than just predetermined, but as long as it's abstract in the beginning, it's all just going to be the same system under the hood. It's just going to be presented in the UI different.
I like that idea. I like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the only input from the user is a number. It's going to make user input validation and loop repeat and all that fun stuff much, much easier to just test the value, make sure it's an int, make sure it's between these values, and continue.
Yeah. It takes a lot of the potential user error out of the equation, which is very, very helpful.
Yeah. And howdy, Raven, enjoy your lurk. Oh, you went that way first, huh? Interesting. That was UI. Numbered list of options with user number input. Well, really, I guess the nice thing about this one is we're just gonna throw that in right away.
Yeah, you don't need any assets. That's a great part of this. Unless you want to do like some ASCII art for your enemies or something, but you really don't need it.
You don't need it, but it would be an awesome little touch, and we fully endorse doing something like that. One of the things I did, and I'll give you some advice on this one right away. I made a basic animation one time within a DOS console box. We had to do this assignment where it was a rabbit and a hare racing, and the hare gets random numbers of large or small, and the hare gets constant medium numbers, so it just kind of plods along, or the hare can be lazy. And they just have this whole thing mess scrolling and showing information on most people's. So I wrote a clear for the console, which was basically just a whole bunch of blank lines, and if you do it fast enough, you've got an animation going. There's something you can try. So yep. I actually had a race of like animated lines moving along the screen as it clears itself and redraws. You need fonts and a console, command line interface. Yep. Sound effects are good too. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's...
I guess it depends if this thing's going to be running in like a native console or if it's going to be built around like its own kind of created interface.
Yep. Yeah, either one could be done. Depends on how ambitious they want to be, I guess. If you want to start super simple, you could literally build this into the DOS box, but you can still play sound assets from there.
Yep. You still have the ability to call sounds from there.
So how many
you could even have music.
Yeah.
I would say at the minimum, you probably want an attack sound. You probably want like a miss sound. You probably want some sort of you found a new thing sound.
Let's start actually. We'll come back to the sounds after we have a better idea of what the game itself will look like. We'll have more idea of what we need then. I'm thinking there's a party of people. Since we don't have assets for their, crit hit sound, I like that. Hit sound and crit hit sound have different sounds for different pieces of battle. That gets you the basics of using sounds in order to convey information within a game, which is really how they should be used. You look at all the games with great sound, and the sound means something. It tells you information when it happens. But
very, very important thing.
Yeah. But we don't have a need for models and graphics and all that fun stuff. So having a party of players is a realistic thing in this, and managing a party in the code is a fun little challenge. I had a good time with. So I think we should have a party.
Yeah, I'm down for a party. Interchangeable characters with some stats.
Oh yeah, interchangeable? I like this idea. How about 3 party size, 4 characters? That'll give the interchange. I want more than 2. Do just 1 hero. It is easier than a party. But
Yeah, can we start with one and then expand it?
This is true, but issuing once you have the code for issuing 1 hero, you have the code for issuing to all of them. Like it doesn't get much more difficult. You just need to then say that this order is going to this character, this order is going to this character, this order is going to this character.
Yeah. And it was a fun little challenge, I think, for myself. I did it fairly early on, and because we don't have any need for assets for graphics on them, I think this is a nice place to throw this challenge, because you're not going to have all the challenges of doing the graphical setup in this game. It gives you more time to focus on the mechanical side. And again,
which is precisely what makes
it.
Yeah, is precisely what makes it so good as a small scope game.
Yeah, that's why I loved the idea and jumped right on it. But yeah, 3 party size, because I think 2 is too simple.
Should we maybe jump back to the theme and setting, try to flush some of that out to maybe kind of draw some inspiration of what these characters can or would be?
Well, it's H.P. Lovecraft, Eldritch setting.
Yeah, but we can, it doesn't have to be the traditional sense of dungeon adventurers. We could be on the other side of things, where maybe you're part of the actual creatures. You're a band of these creatures.
Yeah, that's true. You could be the Eldritch creatures.
Okay.
The dungeon could be the cities that you have now opened, that the portal has been opened, and then now you're in.
It's an interesting idea. We can make it a little more interesting. I agree. Okay.
I actually really like that.
Yep.
I like that a lot.
So, player is the creatures, not the people. I'm down with this idea. It's done fair amount, but it's not as overdone as being the hero and fighting the creatures.
It's also much easier to do enemy design with, because a soldier is just a soldier. Like, they have a gun. They shoot at you.
And it lets you be way more creative with character design.
Yeah.
Yep, you're no longer just the soldier with the gun. You get to be some scary, unheard of creature that can do unheard of scary things.
So the first creature that comes to my mind is Dagon.
Yeah.
Fish people. Fish person god. They sacrifice virgins to him. He controls strange little towns, usually on the water's edge. Dagon's a strange story. Dagon is where most... Oh, never mind. You gotta play that game, Lo. You gotta play that game.
Yeah, you gotta go play Bloodborne, man.
God. That's a tongue biter. Okay. What's your favorite Eldritch monster, Val? It was your genre. What else do we have as a character? We need 4. Yeah, you're not going to be able to get it without spoilers, because I'm definitely going to be playing it on stream. Unless Pookie steals the PS4 back from me. That could be a fight. I'm willing to defend it. I'll go to war for it. Well, the PS5 comes out later this year, so I'm sure I'll get it back then.
Oh man, like, but seriously though, Bloodborne 60 FPS patch, please.
It's not going to be a patch. It's probably going to be like a remaster.
I doubt it. I think there's absolutely no value in doing that.
All it needs is a patch, but I think they're going to do more than that. I don't see them just doing a patch. I don't even know if it's going to run on it, is it?
It's backwards compatible with all PS4 games because it's all x86.
Lurkin while GTA 5, and enjoy your lurkin, Carria. Nice to see you. Hope your day's well.
No, it does not run at 60 FPS on the PS4 Pro. It runs at a more consistent 30 FPS.
Very consistent 30 FPS, I would say, but it is a very consistent and much better load times. But no, it's still 30. But it doesn't matter. It's still the best game I've ever played. So, Eldritch lore.
Oh man, Bloodborne load times on launch. Ugh. That was not good. They were reconstructing basically the entire world on every load. Not quick.
Yeah, it's not a good idea. All right. You're still waiting.
How about Nyarlathotep?
Nyarlathotep? Not bad, huh?
I'm impressed. I had to look it up.
Oh, it's an A. An A, not an
I'm also kind of surprised that Spellcheck knows Nyarlathotep.
I've already put it in. At least in my dictionaries, I've added stuff like that. Because I write about them fairly often.
This is true. You do that a lot. I feel like we're like obligated to include Cthulhu. I feel like that's an obligation if you're doing any HP Lovecraft stuff.
He's kind of powerful.
Yeah, I was kind of worried
What if
about
he's
the
an
power creep for
NPC?
the player.
Could be the one that's dispatching this party of creatures.
Or
Yep.
providing guidance from beyond. He has a time-bending mind and everything. He can, he can send thought and image to people. They are pretty amazing beings. I did a board game where you are the treasure goblin in Diablo 3, and heroes and stuff always wanted to kill you for your loot. But you need to get the gold for your master. That sounds hilarious.
That's sort of a similar concept to what we're going for.
You could spin it and have one of the characters be a cultist that gets, some sort of power transformed into something a bit original for, helping bring the old one to this world.
That could be the main character, and then the rest of them are people that he chooses to help him.
I guess, that'd work well. You were the cultist who brought Cthulhu to this world, and then Cthulhu granted you these companions to carry out his bidding.
And then because you've summoned Cthulhu, he's giving you guidance, and you're using these creatures that have been granted to you to go and do his bidding.
I like it.
So we've got Dagon, fish person god, water abilities, Nyarlathotep, and I'm open to what other people think, but I do know a fair bit about this lore, and Nyarlathotep is a shape changer. He was of an infinite form. Some said 100 forms, some said 1,000 forms. Different stories had different things, but he's basically an infinite formed being, and the information you were getting in the stories was coming from different people with different knowledge and different experience. They didn't necessarily know the truth. It's kind of Dark Souls-y written that way.
Yeah.
The knowledge you get from people in the world is based on what they knew and not what's true. I love the concept of kappas, fish reptile magicians. Yep. That's the Japanese. I believe they were a kami.
Folklore.
Yeah, I believe they were considered a kami, the kappa.
They were at the very least a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Something more than the norm.
Yeah, kami was a specific type of spirit. And there was so many of them. I looked into making a game about kami where I had like hundreds of them to choose from to put into it, but the names are so obscure I thought no one would ever recognize or appreciate them, and it would just be too niche. Might draw and get it as a tattoo later. Make him infused with TMNT. That would be cool. Like
that would be pretty dope.
An old Ninja Turtle displayed as like a kappa with... Yeah, Donatello, I think, would work well with his staff all bent and a little lantern on top. Love it. I love your ideas. Oh, and we all saw your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle tattoo in Carrie. Well, myself, and I think I showed Pseudo, and I definitely showed Rage. We loved it. Awesome work.
Dope.
A lot of cool monsters in Japanese lore, and a lot of them are in the Neo games. Yep. The only reason I might want to play them. But other than watching you play them didn't really do it for me. Doctor Who, Indiana Jones, Jedi, and Ghostbusters Within. That piece. Yes.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff in there.
So yeah, Nyarlathotep is a shape changer. And that's also the anime that I told you guys about. And recommended you to watch Rage is based around the fact that Nyarlathotep can change into anything, so he can also turn into like a 16-year-old schoolgirl.
Because why not?
who's in love with an actual schoolboy. Yeah.
Because why not?
All right, so I think we've kind of fleshed that out. So I guess we can probably go through these character abilities now, kind of flush those out.
Yeah. I mean, obviously people should feel free to change them, but we should at least throw in like 2 ability ideas, I think, on each one. Yeah?
It seems reasonable.
So, the cultist, your own abilities.
You can probably do like some minor magic, some eldritch-inspired magic. You can hit things.
He summoned
Mind Flay.
He summoned Cthulhu. So what if he has a summon ability and can just summon these things to help him? Makes his party by summoning them.
And you can have up to 3 sort of deal.
Yeah. Well, you can summon 2 of them basically. And there'll be 3 to choose from.
Yep.
So that would be one of his 3 abilities. Ability
to
summon allies. Okay, I think he
can
should
probably stab things.
Yeah, sure. Melee attack, and I think an offensive cast fits theme.
Eldritch Blast. We a warlock now.
Yeah, we should flesh out some of the enemies because we might be able to do.
We'll get there.
Stuff like that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We're starting with our own cultist. Next, we're gonna do Dagon, which is one of the summons. Nyarlathotep is a summon. We need 1 more summon. We'll do 3 abilities for each of them, and then we'll work out a couple different enemy types that could be included.
Sure. Yeah. What I meant was like we could find like what they're fighting, because then we can adjust if it's just going to be like human soldiers, or if we're going to want to have like or how like Earth would respond to like this threat, which would probably be with something a bit bigger than just some dude with a gun.
Well, if you want to throw out ideas, I'm open to that too, but we can always change things too.
Initially there'll be dude with gun, because that's going to be the first responders. That's going to be the people who are there first.
You got to start.
But then eventually there'll be tanks, helicopters,
military stuff showing up.
Which is basically just a different name and different stats on a blank character sheet, because you don't actually need anything else.
X-Files people. Mulder is the last boss.
So for Dagon,
Water abilities, because he's a fish person. So I'm thinking that's the healer.
could be. I was thinking like summon like a water spout full of piranhas, because that's awesome.
Piranha water spout. I'm down with an offensive attack on it as well. It can't be useless. So piranha water spout. Okay. So he shoots a water spout full of piranhas, and the water hits them and knocks them back and like knocks them over, and all the piranhas attached to them.
It'd be terrifying.
We're horrible people.
The demonic, eldritch piranha fish things. So even worse than just your regular piranha. They also just eat your brain.
For they gnaw at your very soul. At the end of these games, though, I always want to play them whenever we do this.
That's the
Can't
goal,
wait.
right?
To the day that there's just like an AI that you're just like, here's my game idea, make it please. And
I want to play this.
And it just spits it out. It's like, thank you.
If anybody makes one of our games and submits it, like just comes and gives me a copy, I will 100% play it on stream. I might not play it for hours, but I will 100% play it on stream and check it out. Let's make that clear. You make something, we'll show it. That makes me think of those horrible ghost fish enemies from Ninja Gaiden.
Oh, yes. The flail. The flail is the key to those. That and spam the jump Y attack. But maybe
Piranha water spout. Okay.
Piranha water spout, maybe some healing abilities. You were saying you like that idea.
I like it, but I haven't seen anybody else say anything about, I just, to me, if we have a party-based combat, you need some healing somewhere.
Yeah.
This is true.
Maybe Dagon has a light healing ability with his strong piranha water spout, and we'll have another one that is more healing oriented.
We just label it as replenish for now, and it's something we can always like iron out the actual details of it later, as long as we have the idea that they should be the one healing.
I'll just put a weaker heal note next to it. What else would you want? Dagon, the fish god summoned by cultists controlling the little fishing hamlet.
Ground sharks. Nobody likes ground sharks.
I like the healing pool idea.
I mean, we could also just have them have a melee as well, so everyone has at least the one basic.
That's fair. That's fair, because he has attacks that would all be costing something right now. Fin slap.
No. Not like walking sharks. Like they dive into the ground and they like swim around in the ground and they come out and they eat people and they go back in. Just like water, but except in the ground.
No, I like the melee attack ad.
Could be like a bite, because he's got scary teeth usually.
I don't know. I like the idea of a fish guy just going like this.
Just get him with the flipper.
The fish out of water attack. Pretty much one of the enemies in the fishing village in Bloodborne DLC. Yeah, giant sharks. Or shark giants, they're called. Shark giants is the actual name of the enemy. And they are, without a doubt, the hardest enemy in the game. Period.
Oh yeah, they will kill you real fast.
The 2 shark encounter in the well is harder than almost every boss encounter in the game. Tremors,
Yeah. Like the
graboids.
graboids and tremors. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm thinking, except sharks.
I'm good with it. Let's not give him a melee attack. If he runs out of MP, he's useless. He's Dagon. He was never very... I mean, most of the time when Dagon gets summoned, he just ends up getting killed.
He's the one that generally gets killed.
He always gets summoned into some little fishing hamlet, and some nobody ends up putting a stop to his shit. So.
Yeah, for the cultists, I think we only did 2 actual abilities, because I think the summoning would probably happen before any sort of combat, but we could give the cultist the ability to replenish the creature's MP.
Because I like that.
He's from this realm, and that culls their strength.
I like this idea too. So he can use his for his own Eldritch Blast if he's in a pinch. Probably not going to be the best use of his MP.
Eldritch Solaire. Basically.
Pretty much. Except he's more praise the merc.
Yeah, praise the merc rather than praise the sun. It was basically the same thing.
So now the main character, he'll have his Eldritch Blast. And this shouldn't be too powerful. Expensive. No! There we go. Costly and not too powerful. A melee attack if he doesn't want to spend. He can give his MP to his summons and ability to summon allies and regens MP. And he's the only one that regens naturally. So he's like your MP battery, and you've got to distribute it to them for them to use their attacks.
You know, it'd be really fun if instead of having like one enemy that has an HP value, the HP is the number of enemies. So like your basic encounter is like 10 soldiers because you've got Eldritch powers. So it makes sense that you're basically able to tear them apart. But like by the end of the game, you're fighting entire platoons.
That does make sense for like how strong these characters are. I was kind of worried about things like I don't know how we're going to have these people show up and then have the possibility of just getting wrecked by some dude with a gun. Summon Cthulhu and just shoot
1 HP of
natural attack in the face.
More HP is more enemies. I like it. I like it as well. It fits flavorfully. It gets hilarious and ridiculous by the end, and it keeps the programming of the health and the scaling and the enemies super simple. Super simple.
Like the only thing that can make it somewhat more difficult is having like vehicles in the mix, but you could say like destroying an APC is worth the same as destroying 10 soldiers, which is 10 HP.
You can have, tanks be 100 HP, all sorts of different things.
But you only destroy it by dealing that much damage, sort of deal.
Yeah. You could destroy it slowly.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be in one turn.
And then you can choose what you're attacking, the soldiers, the tanks. And each time you deal that much damage, it takes off a number, and then you're reducing the damage that they can deal as well. By chopping down their numbers, it really helps reinforce some core JRPG ideas of doing damage math, where focusing your fire on the weakest enemies to reduce their incoming damage will cause less spiky damage and typically less total damage over the course of the fight than focusing your damage on the stronger ones first and taking all the weak hits for the entire time that the strong ones are being burnt down. Drives me nuts when people attack the strong things first. The math says you're wrong. Focus your damn attack. Rant done.
Rant over.
So he's got the Piranha Spout, he's got the healing pool, and he's got Summon land sharks.
Land sharks.
Like a
I like land
graboid,
sharks.
but a shark. It's a sharkoid. There you go. Summon sharkoids. Just picture a graboid with fins and a shark head just popping through the earth.
So shape changing. This one becomes interesting because you're not even restricted to like things that could exist on Earth.
Yeah, I'm nervous about this one because I feel it can get pretty complicated pretty fast.
Well, I mean, it's just attacks. You just need to come up with an idea for an attack. It doesn't matter if it's actually possible. It just does an attack value. So you could be like blade arms that does, 10 damage or something. It's capable of killing 10 soldiers.
Blade arms is all well and good, but I was more thinking tentacle arms.
Yeah, tentacle arms is good too.
Full on.
I feel like that would do
full on
less damage. Oh yeah, that would be pretty dope.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't do less damage. You're like opening this little, it'll be his arms, and in the game, it's actually your head that opens up and they come out of there, which is fucking wild.
Oh yeah.
But just like his arm turns into like 30 different tentacles and whips out and grabs people. You could mangle some people with tentacles. I've seen enough hentai to know this.
Yeah, God. Well, I think tentacle arms work. That's something that could be scalable, right? Maybe at the start you're only powerful enough to, affect a few enemies, which makes sense with our health scaling system. Like maybe you do like 3 or 4 damage, which is the same as, grabbing and crushing or ripping apart 3 or 4 people. And later on you can do, like 40 to 50, which would be, like all these arms pull a helicopter down to the ground.
I'm going to give people, if you want to include my tentacle arms one, I'm going to give you a challenge. It's going to be a variable MP cost. You don't have to be able to enter the value. You might just have a couple different options when you choose it. 1, 3, 5 kind of idea. The more MP, the more tentacles you get.
Yeah.
Nyarlathotep lashes out with 5 tentacles. He deals 15 damage, killing 15 soldiers.
Or you're like destroying a truck and killing 5 soldiers. Like you can just pull random things out of a pool based on how much HP you have available.
There's one shape change.
What else can we have for shape changey attacks?
I want at least one idea from Chad on this one, because shape changing attacks is so creative. Let's come up with something cool. Give me something I didn't think of. I want to be like, yeah! That's the reaction we're going for. I'll be right back to read that yeah idea. Ow.
So what do you think, chat? We could have like Expando head, where he just like opens up his head and like part of an eldritch being comes out and then flattens things in front of him. So much fun you can have with shape changing.
I definitely think that they should be the main damage source. So I guess we can kind of get really kind of crazy with what they do.
Yeah, you can do all sorts of nutty like physical damage stuff.
I like the idea of just like a massive like. I guess I guess the head could work too. Almost like a massive fist. They just like drop down like a hammer, but I guess they could just like throw their head really big and just do like a head smash. Just lean forward. Just like blows up like a balloon and just falls over forward.
Go gadget expando head. Yeah. Oh, what else? What else can we do with a shape changer? There's so many options. You could have him like grow an eldritch magical cannon out of his chest.
Yeah, you get like,
Oh, that's a really good idea. The head could open like a flower and do buffs and debuffs. That's really cool, actually. I like that.
Go gadget
So
expando head.
Yeah, I may
This
have
is what I
slightly
come
gone
back
off
to.
the rails when you left.
The head could open up like a flower and spray a buff or debuff pollen. I like the debuff pollen idea. Insanity pollen. Insanity pollen. It opens
Insanity
up
pollen.
and releases pollen that makes enemies go berserk and attack each other.
Yeah, I like that.
yep, that's
It should cost like a lot of MP, but do exactly half of the remaining HP and damage.
So I was walking past Pookie, who happened to have this book sitting next to her that seemed super relevant to what we're doing right now. So let me just throw up a little bit of this.
Ooh. Is that the Bloodborne art book?
The official one.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the Mergo Attendant, Mergo Chief Attendant, and Giant Lost Child art. There's some elder creatures for you.
Man, I forgot those things existed.
Help
Bloodborne's
grant
a
some
cool game.
ideas.
So I really like the idea of the insanity pollen. I think that should go in the list.
The other one I'm heavily borrowing off of in my ideas. I'm gonna wait before I offer up mine. I don't want to just throw all the ideas out and be like, yeah, do me!
well, let's see what chat has, because that was really good for Raven.
I agree. That's why I'm not just throwing mine out. I got up, I got drink. I meant to put light up. I'll be back.
All right, chat. Deus is gone. Everybody post lurk. Oh, Deus is back. Shh.
You just putting a bunch of lurk emotes and trying to confuse me? Is that the deal?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
People are busy though. They didn't have their lurk spam ready.
So I said this is off tangent random idea, and definitely out of scope for this, but kind of just a thing that popped in my head.
Yep.
Since it is console, there's not really assets, but what you could have is just like for the actual enemies, it could just show like the grid based kind of approach where there's just like a bunch of like dots or X's, and that represents like each of the enemies, and then when you like start doing damage and reducing the HP, it starts like removing them from there.
Yep.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Because then like later on you'll have these like giant kind of swarms of lines, and you'll do an attack and you'll just see this big chunk just like turn into X's or go away. But I think that's probably out of scope for what would be this, but it's also something that can be abstracted enough that can be inserted as like a bit of like a plugin thing to it. But I think that'd be really cool to have like some sort of ASCII art that's just like soldiers are just like a square or like a circle or a dot, and then like if you figure out like relevant sizing for grids, you can add like helicopters and tanks and all that other stuff. They don't have to look like them; they can just be represented by like a bigger square. But it'd be really cool to actually like see like a live battlefield that's changing as you attack. All of a sudden, like this big section is just kind of gone, and you can kind of see like a visualization of like how much health is left.
Yeah,
Soldiers
and then
can
you
be
get the
soldiers can be a dot, tanks can be a capital V, helicopters can be a capital X.
and then when you're and I think like relative sizing is actually super important to this as well, because when you get when you start to get more powerful and you're able to do something that just like wipes out half the battlefield all at once, that is just such a powerful feeling for the player.
Yeah, and to visualize it is really, really cool. It gives you that feeling of... I've also a good feeling of how far you've come in power from the beginning of the game when you're like taking out a dot or two and now you can just like clear a battlefield.
There is actually an RTS game that was made in N curses.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's called Curse of War.
I want to Google that.
I think, at least. I believe so. I was on an N curses binge when I was in school.
Yeah.
I thought it was like the coolest thing. But yeah, there's quite a bit you can do with it.
Curse of War did not give me what I was looking for.
Curse of War.
Curse
Yeah, this
of
is
War.
this is actually dope.
But even games like Dwarf Fortress, there was ASCII, and you could still kind of get an idea of what was going on. And it's something that can always just be added after, right? Since it is just a console game, all of a sudden you just implement the battlefield view.
Yeah, very cool.
That's super cool.
That's way out of scope for this. That would be real challenging, but it's really, really cool example of how far you can actually take a console game if you're willing to get a little creative with it and run with it. And of course, once you get to that point, you're just a few assets away from making your own game that's actually visual, because you're just replacing an ASCII character with an actual image asset, and then you're done. Basically. A little bit more, but
a little more complicated than that.
Framework. You got most of it already done. Like, the hardest parts of it are done. The hardest parts of the game, not of the graphics. There's no graphics done.
So what else could Nyarlathotep do?
From what I can tell, Nyarlathotep can lurk.
I still like the head flop idea just because it's ridiculous. We were thinking just like grow his head super large and then just like slam it down.
Like, what are those things called? The headdress. The big ridiculous one.
Oh, the Xanthus crown?
There we go, the Xanthus crown, yeah.
I was just like, big ridiculous one? What is he talking about? Oh, probably Dark Souls. Xanthus crown.
We'll call it the Xanthus flop.
Make head huge, smash on things.
That's the Xanthus crown. That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
It's
like a spoon.
Yeah, pretty much. You're pretty much wearing a spoon on your head.
Except just bulbous rather than flat.
Yeah, it's not flat. It's actually a big round bulb on your head. And yeah, it's pretty great.
Xanthus crown in a suit.
Drops on someone. There you go. There's your Xanthus crown in a suit again. You were laughing so hard.
That's amazing. Oh, that's so good.
And 1, 2, 3. Add one more yourself. I don't want to give every idea.
Your sleff.
I also fat fingered another button that brought up window somewhere. Don't know where it is anymore. That's okay. I'm going to drop this just a touch. Just a touch. And still read that? Still look good on screen?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Beauty. Okay. Sounds. I would say at least...
So we need death sounds for enemies.
Should we figure out enemies? Because
Sure.
I think we had the idea already of just like soldiers and then tank and then like helicopter is probably fine for now.
Yep.
And then for like death sounds, it's basically just like a yell and like a explosion and then like a I guess a bigger explosion for the bigger vehicles or something. But I mean, that can all be figured out later.
You feeling those values?
Yeah, seems
Is that
reasonable.
right?
Enemy death sounds. One for soldier. One for tank / Humvee. One for helicopter. Optional. Helicopter could easily use the tank or Humvee sound, but being a flying thing and falling, you could also use a lot of other different creative sounds on there. And sounds are fun and easy to make.
Yeah, you can always just add the trope of the helicopter beeping before it crashes with like the warning siren.
Yeah. Or even just a
Yeah, that works too.
So we'll need some sort of like eldritch magic-y sound, I feel like, for the abilities.
Yep, definitely. Melee / hitting type sound. That would be for the Xanthus flop and the melee attack.
Probably the tentacle arms too.
Yeah, tentacle arm would probably be a good one for that too. You feel free to make if you read Piranha Water Spout and you're like, I want to make this sound for that, then yeah, make your own sound for that one by all means. Get creative with this. I'm gonna take my dog out back and record myself spraying it with a hose. That's amazing.
As long as your dog likes water.
Yeah, I don't do it in a mean way. Most dogs, I'm doing this thinking my dog's like, time of my life. I like the crit hit sound. Indicate when an attack is more effective. And you can, if you don't want to have your own crit hits in the game, you could decide that certain attacks are more effective against certain things. Maybe the tentacle arm is more effective against people than it is vehicles, and you want to make it, an audio cue to tell the player, hey, you've just used the right attack on these guys. My advice, make it a subtle cue. Not so subtle they won't notice, but subtle enough that they have to be paying attention. It'd be a beautiful...
This game sounds more like Rampage, but the Lovecraft version. I mean, kinda.
Text-based Lovecraft Rampage? I'm down. I loved Rampage.
I want to play this game. This game sounds really fun.
I really, really like they don't get MP and he gets the MP and has to choose where he gives it. It creates so much strategy to the game.
Big agree.
Hurt, heal.
Definitely need a victory sound.
Game sounds. Hurt sound. Heal sound. Death sound. Game over sound. Victory sound. Absolutely. That's a mean daggone. I realize that's not what you said, but that's what I'm saying. My story and I'm sticking to it. So the UI will basically just be a display on the top. Right? Do we want more sounds? I think that's a lot of sounds already.
Yeah, it's already sounds.
It's going to take you a day or so to make by itself.
Probably more than that.
Probably more than that, but
just
also
the sounds are going to take you a day or so to make by yourself.
Probably more than that, but there's a lot of asset packs that you could use for something like this.
We could go more into the game framework on how it's going to be played.
Yeah, so I'm imagining you've basically got a more or less linear set of stages that you go through. And you just have encounter after encounter with maybe like some text-based story in between.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start at start then. Is player summons story. No, not gameplay, but story. Player summons Cthulhu. Cthulhu gives player ability to summon allies and explains basic game. Go take over the world. Yeah? That's
Yep.
your goal?
Yep. And then the actual, like, countries and cities can be the actual dungeon rooms that you're exploring, rather than like a traditional, like if the room doesn't have to be like an actual room, so it could be like metaphysical, so it's like the room is actually just like, oh, you're in just this like major city now.
Boston or whatever.
Yeah, and then you fight the Boston enemies, which is, you know, what's ever there.
Yeah.
And then you move over to what's, you know, the next room over from Boston, and you work your way up that kind of way.
So
and you don't even need to be constrained by geography because Cthulhu.
Yep.
So you can just like warp all over the world.
So I would say stages are countries.
Stages are countries, rooms are cities sort of deal.
That country. Yeah, pretty much is Rampage. It's text-based RPG Eldritch Rampage. And I'm in love. Someone make this for me, please. I'll play it on stream.
I want to play this game.
All right, so we go from that explains it, and then we go into a summon allies screen to choose your party right away, or do we go into a level select screen?
I think level select. And then you can just, scaling is hard. Maybe we don't want to do level select.
Well, here's what we could do, right? There's a timeline of people learning that this is going on. So when the Eldritch start attacking, there's this many. And after so long, there's this many. So what country you're
the stages
choosing,
are set. Yeah. But the label on them isn't. Exactly. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Lets you feel like you're going on your own path through things, and if you want to get really creative, you could even try to give a little bonus to the player for which stage he clears, and this way you can choose which bonus you're going to get easy, and then a little bit harder, a little bit harder, a little bit harder to try to get through it.
It can sit like a traditional Dungeon Explorer where it's like node based, and then it's just like nearest node is what you can select, and it's easy enough just to, you know, actually demonstrate where they can go from there. If they understand, you know, basic geography, they'll know where they can go from, like Boston or New York, versus, you know, if they're in like Washington to you know, Vancouver to Oregon and that kind of stuff.
That's absolutely an idea they could implement if they wanted to go the geography route, but I also really like Rage's mention of they're Eldritch and they can just teleport around if they really want to.
Right.
Do a graph instead. Nodes are rooms and areas, and edges are passages and routes.
Yeah, you could do that as well. I think the easiest way to implement it is probably to have fixed scaling stages that you just put a different label on and you get a different reward for. Like actually figuring out how to link all of these and determining where you can go from where, I think is a little more overhead than you need for this to be like a very, very, very much one person capable sort of deal.
Yeah, it's very fair. That makes more sense than just to build a war around anywhere.
I've added it to challenge. Do not use teleporting and link areas to areas for traversal. It's a crawler, but it's also a somewhat basic crawler. They're still going to be going from room to room, But instead of the rooms being directly linked, there will be certain rooms within the stage that you go to and fight things. So you're still going to be, go to here, go to here, go to here, but you won't have to worry as much about necessarily where they're linked. And then, I strongly encourage, if anybody's made this, try to link them and try to set that order. It's definitely a great challenge to take on. It won't be a super difficult challenge, but you will have to think a bit about how you're going to do it and how you're going to record what links where. Make it easy to change. Make it easy to take this room and swap them back and forth like this, or these two and swap them their order. Don't make it hard-coded. Make it easy to change. That's part of the challenge. Then it's not a crawler. But you're still going to say go to here, move to this, move to that.
Yep. And it doesn't have to be like every single possibility. It could just be like a list of things that just get given. You just choose from that list. It doesn't have to be like every single possible location in the entire game at once. It just can just be a list of here's the possible places you go now. They don't have to necessarily be like right beside each other. But at least you just pick from places so you're like crawling around.
Sort of like you went to Canada, then you have to do all of the cities in Canada, but there's some variation to the way that you can do it. You can choose a different city, you can skip some, that sort of deal.
There's lots of different ways to implement it at that point. Yeah, you could say you only have to do a certain number of the cities, or
you only have to kill a certain number of population, and then you have a bunch of different ways to do that.
And it's just a level game. Crawler has certain expectations. Yeah, what specific expectation are you wanting to include in it? Noises outside. Heard falling metal pipes and clanging and then people yelling. Weird.
Yeah, it can still be that, but it's just they don't have to be physically beside each other, since with this theme, these beings are allowed to teleport around.
Yeah, you can totally have a node graph within each stage of the game. That is totally a thing that you can do. We're not saying don't do that. We're saying that is more difficult, so it's a challenge.
I've definitely included it in the challenge. I've recommended trying it, but maybe try it without if it's your very, very first time. If it's not your first time, grab some of these challenges and definitely include them. Do the node graph idea. Or if it's your first time and you want to take on those challenges, do it. It will make it a better crawler. A more real crawler.
100%. 100%. It will be a more betterer game.
Yeah. We don't disagree with you at all, Riftkick. We just also don't want people to bite off more than they can chew the first time. But it does create a great set of interesting issues on how you track that and keep record of it and make it easy to remap. Maybe name it something other than a crawler.
I still think that it can be adjusted with teleporting and crawl. Like, I don't think it's that huge of a leap to have it still just be room based. But instead of just walking into the next room, you just are in the next room.
Yeah, I just changed it to text-based dungeon teleporter, and we're good.
So from the level select screen, you then go into the country that you've chosen. Then you get presented with a series of rooms.
That'll probably be the main game screen.
Yeah, main game screen.
And so we'll have the rooms at the top. Party view at the bottom. So selection entry at very bottom. Options between rooms and party. Is that clear?
I mean, if you want to get a little more advanced on the layout, maybe have what you can do on the right.
What you can do on the right? I'd love to have a little image of it, but I don't want to draw it out with dashes because it'll look terrible.
And change based on what font you're using.
Yes, that too. Yeah, so basically you're going to have like a... And my art skills are well known, so don't make fun of me. You already know they're terrible. This is why I'm not an artist. So we're going to have your city view up here. And it'll be a list of cities. And you can even put them in whatever order you want. You know, have them all over the place if you want. Maybe put a number beside each one if you want up here to make it easy to tell. And then here it'll be, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the name of the city after. Here you've got your little person info. And then you've got your input, where you would put your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that sort of what you're thinking?
Yeah, more or less. It might be a little more clear, if harder to render, if you have like your map view and then your options off to the side. Just gives you a little, like, a better aspect ratio of the thing that you're looking at.
I'm not sorry. I'm not sure what you meant.
Nah, don't worry about
it. I was listening to you, and then you stopped talking as I was nodding and listening, and then my mind went, I didn't understand any of that.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Okay. This is an idea, right? You do your own, but this is just an idea of what you could do. So then on this screen, you're going to say, you know, like 3, I want to go attack this area first. And then we're going to pop up into another one, and down here you've got the same, and down here you've got the exact same person display. And here you're going to have, you know, this is where your attack, different abilities, this is where all the actual information is going to be displayed for what you choose. And then here you'll have, you know, square, helicopter displayed. And that's what you're going to actually be taking off the screen as the enemies die to visually demonstrate it. So I guess on this one would be like go-to. These would all be go-tos, basically. Go to Montreal, go to Vancouver, go to Toronto.
What have you.
Would they be exploring the actual like cities? Would they walk around at all, or would it just be like conflict and then that's it?
Conflict and that's it is the most simple way to do it. I think exploring the cities would be a very, very cool thing to include and make it much more dungeon crawly.
Yeah, let's
put
the dungeon crawl aspect in there in the challenge. Allow them to explore the city room by room, in quotes.
Yeah,
because it's not actually rooms, but you know, you could call it like you're on 4th Street and it connects to this street and that street, and try to get as complicated as you can on that one, because that's not a lot of assets. That's just going to be your own work and linking and thought, and you can get really fun on that.
And you can even look up maps of the cities, like in Google Maps or whatever, and sort of plan a route for the player.
Yeah, that's real cool.
Yeah, use like key landmarks and stuff like that. Destroy monuments.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the monuments. Destroy monuments for bonus points. And up here I want to add, so we've level select, choose which country you want to attack. Main game, okay. And then combat screen in main game. Yeah, it's amazing how this game has Really simple to make. It's just a graph. Yeah.
First, it's easy for some people to make, not especially since it's just starting off trying to do a beginner project.
It's a great additional add as a first expansion to it. I just see it as it's essential to the dungeon crawling core experience, but not to making a game that is playable. That's sort of where I'm at. Cut out all the fat I can. Make it easy as possible on the top part. So the combat screen in main game, X dot and B displayed to represent troops. Add HP bar for each at top. Doesn't have to be bar. Value for each at top, so that the player doesn't have to count 132 dots to know that there's 132 HP left. Although that could be variable too. They could just look at it and know that's a lot of dots and just hit it.
And then see how many go away.
And watch dots disappear until there's like 10, and then they're like, okay, there's 10 left now. That's valuable too. But it will be a bit more math for the person once you start factoring in Humvees and tanks and helicopters and stuff like that. The scope changed is all, and genre. A little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know why it needs to be like so pedantic on the actual hit the mark. It's like the framework before it, and then this is how you carry it to be the crawling aspect. But
That's
it's okay. I think it would pass as crawler.
If I played it, I would say it's a simple dungeon crawler. If I were to actually play it on text, I'm entering values in, I'm finding things, I'm killing them, I'm moving to different places with my text. I'd call it a simple dungeon crawler still, but
Not a great dungeon crawler,
no,
but a very simple one.
But I'm sure we could have a 2-hour argument on the genre of this game as well. That's
Easily.
what we do. And then once country is clear, remove from list, apply bonus, and loop. And we've got a game loop!
Yay! We did it.
It's probably one of our more complex games, but on the asset side, super simple and actually realistic for one person to make. So if that actually sounded like a lot of fun to you and you're not an artist, that's a great way to start making games. It'll teach you a lot of the basics that you need. It's very, very procedural code for it, but it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
A lot of room to expand it.
Oh yeah, there's so many directions you could go with this. And of course, you don't like our setting and ideas on that front, rip it all out and do your own. But the scope is really, really good. Really, really good place to start with. We got a little bit of time, a little bit left. So what are some challenges that could be added to it? What are some ways you could think of expanding the game from there to give people a little bit more while I set up to give away some games?
Ooh, some more challenges, huh? I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is having a little bit more interactive of a battle screen. Like maybe have the X's and the dots and stuff move around, making sure that you have some way to represent that they're attacking you on the battle screen. That would be cool.
Adding like a bit of a story might be nice. Actually have some dialogue with Cthulhu and some purpose and some actual targets.
There you go. Add dialogue options is a great one.
Yeah. You could also have like a scoring system for how well you do in each dungeon to say like, you destroyed, 50% of cities. You can leave this dungeon now. Or, you can go for completion and get everything, and that's how you get your bonus.
Yeah, as well as like adding items. You could have like items that are found in certain cities and gives purpose to explore them fully, because you'll find, certain relics, like lost relics, that will increase your abilities.
Oh yeah. That would be a good challenge as well. A good challenge for your writing skills. Go the exact opposite way and just describe everything with words.
That would be a good challenge as well. I agree. I like this. Keep these coming. I'm almost ready to give some games away. We have over 100 games to give away still. Why is the list getting longer? I had less than this when I started.
Because Humble Bundle is a thing.
Oh, thank you, Humble. Oh, thank you. No, really though. Thank you, Humble.
Yeah, they do good work.
You could add New Game Plus, which is you go to a different parallel universe where everyone is just stronger, or there's just more people for some reason.
Well, here's a
You
cool
work
thing
your way
on
through
that.
the dimensions.
Here's a cool idea on that. These beings are actually interdimensional beings. The beings in H.P. Lovecraft lore are they're not from another dimension. They are another dimension. It is a dimension with its own thought and consciousness, a being so powerful and so great and advanced that it doesn't even recognize us as life forms. It looks as us as we look at bacteria, essentially. And this is why it's able to invade our minds so easily with its will of thought from another dimension and cause us to go insane. So if it has all of those powers, I'm sure you could bounce into another dimension with stronger things and fight them, and you could re-theme the whole thing. No more Humvees, now they're Gulops. Go nuts.
Yeah, going after armies of illithids.
Yep.
Had a random idea. It's not very on. It's more like a redo for it, but could even expand it so that you're not really even exploring cities. You're just jumping from person to person's mind, and that's the dungeon you're crawling. It's just like bouncing your way through people and then just kind of converting them to this cause.
Oh,
That
we're
could
a
be
Lundra
cool.
now.
Exploring what makes them tick and defeating it and breaking them down so they join your cult.
Yeah, we're totally a Lundra now. A Lundra now.
Alundra is a weird game.
I love that game. I'm going to give away 5 today. Because we've got too many.
Oh, you're just showing up, Snow Penguin? Well, don't you worry. The VOD will be available. I think we came up with a really cool game idea this time.
Oh yeah, I love this one. It's one of my favorites so far. We've only done 2, but it's definitely one of my favorites. And you're just in time for free games.
Yeah, you could just show up and get a free video game. That could totally happen.
We're doing a bunch of them here because we have so many. So that's a thing. Also, the emotes are live now, so that's a thing for you too. Enjoy. I believe Lurk is the one that was added.
I love Lurk. Lurk is so good.
I always want to put an E at the end of your name, and I don't know why, Snow.
Snow Penguin.
Penguin. Okay. 5 games. Let's do this. You do love pasta. Me too. I'm sorry I had to make it a tier 2. I'm sorry because I don't have the slots for it, but this is the other one. And as soon as we have slots for it, I'll totally make it a tier 1. I would rather make it a tier 1, but it is what it is.
Just need more emote slots.
Hey! The first winner is...
Snow Penguin! Immediate. Just show up, win a game. What did he win?
Let's find out. Let's show him what he's won, John. Yeah, go away. Just give me the winner. I don't know that one. I think that's one of the strange indie ones.
Yeah, that looks like we got it in an indie bundle one. The Final Station. Is it a train management sim? That's what I see it as.
The Final Station.
Train.
It sounds more like like managing the afterlife as they head out to their final destination on a train. I'm picturing like Final Fantasy VI Death Train.
It's like I think it's like Snowpiercer. I think it's like a shooter that you're also just like on the train. I'm not sure those who have seen Snowpiercer.
It is a post-apocalyptic adventure, traversing the world on a train and going to different locations, and then it's like a 2D shooter.
Interesting.
Metro.
It's very odd.
Metro.
Hey, there's somebody else I know how to find. I don't know how to find No Scoopy. I know I've seen them around before. If they are around or if you know them, ping them, let them know. I do know how to find Babowski. I thank him constantly. That was Nariel.
That was Nariel shouting from the background.
Witchit is a very fun game, Snow Penguin says. Excellent. I hope we find them to give it to them. Don't know this one either. Anna's Quest. Lots of interesting ones today.
The games list has grown again.
Oh yeah, it constantly is. Giving me the same name over and over again, and I only do each name once per week, so...
Is it all just Snow?
No, it's
Snow just gets all the games.
Scoopy all of a sudden. I haven't seen the name pop up once, and I've gotten it 5 times now.
Hey, GlenCon. GlenCon wins the game.
Yeah, GlenCon gets a lot of them, because he's been so loyal to us. Ooh. That's a game.
Ooh, that is indeed a game. I know he's in our Discord. I'll message him.
Yep.
Or I'll ping him in the game giveaway channel.
And Perry. I know Perry as well. He pops in once in a while. I'm sure we'll find him to give him another strange one. GNOG. So cute. I'm glad you like it. Let's do one more. 6 sounds fun.
Perry's not in the Discord.
Now it's giving me GlenCon over and over.
just all GlenCon. Just all games for GlenCon.
Come on, give me someone new. It's basically all of the names I have repeating now.
All right, we're just gonna have to double up.
There are other names on there.
Other legs. There are other legs on there. Gotcha.
That was because it came up with. I was reading.
Hey.
I was reading egg 2 leg and said other legs.
Other leg.
And Oxenfree.
You won a game.
That one is either.
Oxenfree is really good.
Yeah. Published by Night School Studio. The game was released for Microsoft Windows, OS X, and Xbox One. Looks interesting.
It was an indie darling several years ago.
Looks very interesting. Yeah, it's getting really high reviews too. Cool art style. Right on. Yeah, very, very stylized art in it. Cool. So there's another 6 games given away. We will track those people down as we can. Make sure you get your games. We do have the one other name. It's been too long. Sergeant Punk, we loved having you around. I haven't seen you in a while. I really want to give you Devil May Cry 4. But I haven't seen you in a while. And I can't leave it just sitting there forever. I think 2 more weeks is the longest I can go.
Yeah, maybe another week, maybe another 2, and then put that one back in the rotation.
Yep, because DMC 4 Special Edition that's a hell of a prize, and that one's got to go. Oxenfree was pretty sick. I need to play through that game again sometimes, though once you've been through it once, I doubt replay have the same impact. Seemed like one of those games, but so stylized. So I'm super hungry now. I don't know about you guys.
Oh yeah, real hungry. I was running around chasing my dog today. I had to give him a bath. It was a busy day.
That's a busy day. You're waiting on your dinner. That's kind of where I'm at too, Snow. So I think we're a couple minutes early, but that's okay. It's okay. 5:51, it's time for my dinner. But I'm going to eat dinner, and then I'm going to come back and launch rockets.
That sounds like a good time to me.
Let's do a challenge of some kind. Maybe let's build a manned science station and launch some Kerbals in a science base and leave the base on Mun. So they can hang out there and do science. And we'll make a science base with a detachable rover that they can jump into and drive around Mun to do pressure surface data and temperature data and stuff like that. That sound fun?
That'd be dope.
Okay, that sounds dope then. So, until I get back to Kerbal, have yourselves a fantastic Saturday. It's been an absolute pleasure working on this with you. I hope you had as much fun as we did. I'm Deus.
I'm Pseudo.
And I'm Rage.
And may all your shots be headshots.